Welcome everyone to July the 12th. Today, for the record, is the 2124th anniversary of the birth of Julius Caesar, by many considered the greatest military commander ever known, so much so that his last name, Caesar, became synonymous with emperor and even inspire future countries, thousands years later, to use his name as a title such as Tsar and Kaiser. Now, we don't have anything nearly as grandiose for today, but we do have the announcement of the pre-patch officially coming down on July the 23rd, and a couple of important things are happening in the pre-patch, and this is where we are going to list them and list exactly what is happening. We're talking about the implementation of the Warband system coming in just a couple of weeks at this point, as well as the pre-patch event that will start in a couple of weeks. Now, as far as the Warband, let's start with point number one. Blizzard is already trying to put their hands forward, warning everybody that this might take minutes or hours or more for your characters to be merged into a Warband as soon as you log in for the first time. It might be quite a lengthy process on patch day, but let's assume, full of copium as we are, that everything will go nicely and as intended. The Warband system will collect all of your characters into a single group, a single team, a single collective. Now, this only works, though, limited per one region, so your EU characters and your NA characters cannot be in a single Warband. But it will include characters from every faction or every realm that you have on that account, provided they are still in the same region. So, if you have an Alliance character on server 1 and a Horde character on server 2, you can still make them part of the same Warband. Now, 4 characters will be on the Warband scene that you get on login. That doesn't mean your Warband is only 4 characters big. Those are your, your 4 elite characters, your 4 favorite characters you want to put as your starting screen. Doesn't actually change anything about the Warband. One pretty good, honestly, quality of life change if you are used to play on multiple servers is that now you no longer need to swap between realms and load in different realms every time you want to swap a character. Because since they will all be in the same Warband screen, you can simply select them in the Warband screen without having to swap server, and then you will, of course, automatically log into that server. Now, as for the benefits of being in the same Warband, you have, number one, the bank. Now, you will have a Warband Bank that can be accessed by bankers throughout the game. How the Warband Bank differs from your normal bank is that no, you cannot put soul-bound items because that's not a bank for a single character. You can put any item that's not soul-bound into the bank. What is one of the very good QoLs of this Warband Bank is that all characters in your Warband can access the deposit and withdraw items freely, including bonus points, including reagents, because the Warband Bank will now also function as essentially an always available reagent bag. So you can craft using reagents without even having them in your bars, as long as you have them in your Warband Bank from any character part of that Warband. Completing the Warbanding Together storyline, which you will get on login at the beginning of the pre-patch, a short chain quest that you are seeing right now in the video, you will be rewarded with the Warband Bank Distance Inhibitor TLDR, a toy which will allow you to summon your personal Warband Bank. As we said, the Warband Bank cannot put in soul-bound items, but they can put a new type of specific item, which is the Warbound Until Equipped type of items. This is the type of gear that will be available and lootable from raids, dungeons, delves, also open world events, sometimes world quests, and even quest completions. Practically whenever you earn loot, you will have a slight bonus chance to gain an additional piece of Warbound Until Equipped item as personal loot. It's practically like a Titan Forging proc, except not on the item you are looting, but on an extra item you can loot, and this can be put into your bank and traded around your characters through your Warband Bank, but it cannot be traded to other players or traded from the auction house. In general, this Warbound Until Equipped is meant to be a catch-up gear system for your alts. Since you can earn it as bonus loot from everything you're doing, you can expect, for example, your main doing doing a bunch of Mythic Plus or doing a bunch of raiding or farming some reputation factions to loot these Warband items, and then you can just send them to one of your alts you're now starting to level, for example. Or that was already leveled up to max but was still in scrappy hobo leveling gear. Because this Warbound until equipped will be dropping in item level based on the content your character was doing when it was looted -1 tier. So Mythic Raiding dropping Warband loot can drop Heroic tier Warband until equipped items. If you're doing a Heroic raid, it can drop as normal raid item level, Warbound until equipped item, and so on. So this Warbound until equipped type of item is meant to further make it easier for your characters within your same Warband to get, faster and easier gear to catch up with the characters you are playing more and are getting more loot. Now, talking about the loot, you have the whole change about your Transmog collection. This will be easier to explain because it's practically WoW Remix-like appearance collecting. So, being able to now collect appearances without having to have the correct item with the correct armor class for the item you are looting. So now your priest can loot a plate item and still make it part of your collection, even if the priest cannot actually equip that plate item. It's practically the same as WoW Remix, now making it into live. There are still going to be class restrictions, so if your priest character is looting a plate chest, he can learn it as an appearance. But if your priest is looting a plate tier set chest from a warrior, say, that is still not going to be learnable because it is class restricted to warrior, and therefore only a warrior can learn that appearance. Talking about being able to equip or not, you no longer need to actually equip the item to learn its appearance. You know the annoying thing, sometimes you loot something, you just assume it's yours and then you sell it or disenchant it and you forgot you didn't make it soulbound and you lose the appearance? Now this goes away. Now disenchanting, selling or deleting in any way any items that were not part of your collection will automatically count as learned. The appearance will now become learned even if you haven't directly equipped the item. Now this is a pretty interesting point if you want to get yourself ahead of the work you might do once the pre-patch drops, because any existing gear currently in your character inventories or your character banks, all of that gear will be automatically and retroactively added to your Transmog collection. TLDR, even if you can't technically now do it, you can go right now, for example, in, say, BFA raids as a priest, again with this priest, and loot a bunch of mail and plate stuff which you would have normally just sold or disenchanted and thrown away. If you keep it in your bags now or store it in your void storage or in your banks now and wait for the pre-patch, once pre-patch drops you will also be automatically learning all of those appearances, because this system will be retroactive with everything you currently own in your bags or in your banks. The next point of relevance for warbands, which is past the leveling, which is past the catch-up gear for your alts, past the Transmog collection for your alts, is the Warband reputations, also known as the account-wide rep, finally coming to the game. Any progress made on one character will be shared with all of your other characters. Most of the rewards from those factions will also be unlocked for all characters, with some few small exceptions. Warband-wide rewards will be granted only once, while some rewards will remain character-specific and need to be collected on each character. This system is meant to make it easier for you, for example, to not have the need to go through the questing and the side quests of every single zone on every single character to maximize the reputation, the renown level with a certain faction. Now, only the first time turning of a quest, the first time completion of a quest will give you this Warband-wide reputation, so that once you're leveling a second character, you don't have the need exactly to go and complete that chain quest again, because that chain quest won't be giving you any more rep with your Warband. So now you are much more free in how you want to level certain characters, if it's straight through questing and side questing or dungeons or delves. Now you only need to complete these sets of quests for the rep only once to maximize all of the renown rep you can get from those factions. Now all reps will be merged into a Warband reputation, going slowly backwards in all their expansions. That will take a little bit of time, but for the newer ones, including Dragonflight of course, the system is very simple. If you have character 1, 2, 3, 4 and they have 9, 4, 13 and 7 renown with that faction, then on the pre-patch day, if you log in, you will be renown 13 with that faction on any character. Your Warband faction will now be 13. So that's another QoL improvement for your characters in your leveling experience and your reputation grinding in the War Within. The last part of the Warbands is the achievements. Now, similar to factions and reputation, achievements become account-wide, become Warband achievements. Now, very similar to what we just said about reputations, a few achievements will still remain character-specific, depending on whether or not that was a choice your character had to make or a personal display of skill on a certain character. For example, Insane in the Membrane achievement is still going to give you the title only on the character that did that whole grind, or something like the Gladiator titles will only give you the Seasonal Glad title on the character that achieved Gladiator. But most of the other rewards, like titles for example, will be now account-wide. And then as the last final bit of QoL, the Warband is adding a new toy that can reveal all maps of regions fully explored by a single member of your Warband. So now, once again, for example, your main character will level through the War Within zones and explore them all, any other character logging in will get all of the maps clear in the new expansion, as well as the flight points learned by previous characters. The last bit will be about currencies. Currencies will not be fully Warband-like, but they will still now be transferable across character, practically all of the currencies. So you can transfer between individuals of your Warband most of the time without any additional cost. Now, no example or specification was made for this, but I doubt the current season very rare currencies will be able to be traded. I'm talking about something like crests not being able to be tradable, but when it comes to older currencies from older expansions, or even the more common currencies, those will be fully tradable amongst your Warband characters. Now this is what we know as far as the Warband system. The other part that was introduced in the announcement from Blizzard was the pre-patch event, which we still don't know much about besides what Blizzard told us. Number one, as expected, there is no level requirement. You can hop in and use this pre-patch event practically as a leveling tool. The hub will be in Dalaran, which you will be directed to with a quest, with 3 portals directing you to the 3 pre-patch zones, being Dragonblight, Searing Gorge and Dustwallow Marsh, with super new tech. Now the portal of the zone that will be active in the event will actually be glowing gold as a portal instead of glowing blue, so you even now know in-game which of the zones is active. Week 1, the event will cycle across the 3 zones every 90 minutes. On week 2 of the pre-patch will cycle every 60 minutes, whereas on week 3 onwards until the release of the expansion will cycle every 30 minutes. Now the event itself is pretty basic. You have stage 1, which is just kill mobs until you fill the bar. Once the bar is filled, you have to start to defeat a bunch of different memories that will have a theme of some old school event like South Shore versus Tarren Mill from back in the day. Once you have defeated all of the memories of these fights going on, you spawn the boss, tied and themed to the zone. So Ragnaros will be in the Searing Gorge, you have Onyxia in the Dustwallow Marsh, and you have the Lich King in Dragonblight. Now the event gear, that's what matters for many players going in there. The event catch-up gear will start at 480 item level and by Blizzard's words is upgradable. So maybe up to 500 possibly item level upgrades. There's only one lootable currency, nothing too complex. It's the residual memories, and you can buy everything from the vendor of the event with the residual memories. There are going to be 3 different weeklies for defeating the final boss in each of the 3 zones, rewarding you with 1500 residual memories, each of the weekly quests being completed, and the item costs varies from 2 to 3.5k for armor and accessories, and then 4 to 8k residual memories for the weapons, one-handed weapons costing less, two-handed weapons costing more. And you can continue to grind this even after the event is over, because even after the last stage of the event and the boss is defeated, you will go back to having these, you know, constantly grindable and killable mobs in phase 4 of the event until phase 1 begins again in a different zone. So nothing too groundbreaking when it comes to this pre-patch event. And definitely the biggest news to talk about was the now near introduction of the Warband system, bringing many needed and welcome quality of life additions to your life in the game on multiple characters. So, with this recap going through of what's coming down in a couple of weeks with the pre-patch of the War Within, we are now leaving each other on this Friday. Thanks of course everyone for watching the video, as well as more free ways to support, like liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, lucky I just finished now, because I'm already starting to feel the nose itching coming down on today.